Hey everyone, I'm so excited because I have been wanting to have a chat with this lovely gentleman. I just creep him on Instagram and all the things that he's doing. And we actually were first acquainted on Clubhouse. I don't know if you remember that, Yosef. This is pandemic days. And when I read your profile and saw that you were the founder of one of the boxes that I loved, still love, BoxyCharm, and in that time, there's a lot of things that have happened in your life. So I really want to break down, a little bit about who you are, your views on work, life, romance, relationships, entrepreneurship. I think that there's a lot that we can learn from this conversation. So thank you for agreeing to have this chat with me.
Thank you for having me. And yes, I remember Clubhouse. That was a moment in time where we had the world shut down and all of us got connected in another platform that this time we didn't have to use visual. It didn't bother our eyes.
Yeah.
We could just put it aside and hear. That was so different, and it was good times.
Yeah, I mean, let's go back to that for a bit because that was like the introduction of new tech. And you know, for us as visual people, I don't know if you were doing videos prior to, Instagram, sorry, Clubhouse, but you coming in as a person you are and just being able to, speak to strangers. What did you get out of the Clubhouse experience? I'm curious.
First of all, a lot of new friends. I feel like when I was building BoxyCharm, the biggest question for me was it started with how can I make the community that I have better. And I was going through a journey, and we were very successful at that, building a very strong community, passionate community. Because just having people knowing about your brand is not a community. Talking about your brand and passionately talking about this. With passion, this is more of a community. And I mean, I don't want to break it down what is a community, but one of my challenges were how do you actually construct a community, because you need a space for a community. The rule of a community is a group of people with the same interest in the same space activating together, and the question is, what is the space? So for many years Facebook was a great space because you had groups and it was popular, but Facebook lost its relevancy, and Instagram was not a true community builder. But when Clubhouse came on board, I was actually joining so I can use that. Eventually, I was trying to figure out an angle to build a community through Clubhouse, but I ended up selling the business at the same time, and it was just, I said to myself, okay, you know what, this is a really cool business, and you can really see what happened with the community when a group of us ended up connecting early on, where the app lost relevancy like this. As soon as they open up the country, people, okay, now let's go back to work, let's move on with our life. And that was gone. But because we were in the same space and we're all active over there and we all got connected over there, there's something to remember that is no longer there. And that's what connects people together. So I like things that connect people together, and a reason for that. And Clubhouse was a great moment in time for us.
Yeah, that's great. And you were part of a lot of really important conversations. Part of my motivation to reach out to you is that I noticed as of late that you do often talk about, personal relationships. I've heard you giving even, I don't know if you want to call it dating advice or relationship advice. And you did share that also you sold a business. Did you also become single during the pandemic, or was that something that you were
Yeah.
already single? Okay.
Yeah, so my ex-wife and I, God bless her, I love her, she's my best friend. We were married for 12 years. We have two beautiful children, and we're co-parenting. We live close to each other, so we can always see each other if there's an issue. We do Friday dinners, Shabbat dinners, I'm Jewish, together. But when I broke up with my ex-wife, it was during COVID, and a little after I sold the business. It was just a moment in life where this surreal event happened globally, where everything was shut down. I'm exiting a business to a ridiculous number. It was like 9 digits, it was big. And now I get to be single again. So everything happened all at once. It was definitely a
That's
big
a lot.
change in my life. And it was all positive by the end of the day. It was all positive on both ends, well, not the virus, but I mean, I'm not saying that's
Yeah,
positive.
no, I get that.
But yeah. But I mean, the virus brought positivity because we were a subscription box, which means we were direct to consumer online. And if you remember in 2020, at first, everybody wanted to buy toilet paper, but quickly they understood that no, it's fine. And then everyone started buying online, stimulus checks. So our business was booming during COVID, and that's where I was able to exit. Not a successful exit because of that. So everything happened for a reason, I feel like, and that's one of the things that happened to me. So we ended up splitting our own ways, but very good friends, and thankfully, so the new change was on a positive note.
That's fantastic. And, I love the fact that, in some cases, certain business imploded, others, benefited. I feel like women at that time that were still able to get their favorite beauty things, like that's like getting a Christmas gift during the middle of the pandemic. What a wonderful time for you to have that
Listen,
had that
the
happen.
correction came right after in 2021. Everyone, when they opened up the world, everyone started traveling. We were distributing in the US, and the US was open in 2021. So no one wanted to get mail to their door.
Mm,
And the online shopping fall off a cliff. So we sold it, and with the skin of our teeth. I mean, when I tell you that everything, I'm not talking my company, but in general, the whole space collapsed
mhm.
right after that. Plus, there was the iOS 14 change on Facebook, so on Apple. So everything fall apart. But a few months before, I was able to cash out. So it was the momentum, right? 2020, yes, every woman wanted to keep getting her box. She had nothing else to do. Let me at least be
Yeah,
pretty. And that was a surprise because that's not what we thought that's going to happen. Like, if you're not going out, why do you need makeup? That's at least
right.
what I thought. Even female employees in my business, we all thought about that. It was a concern because you don't know, that never happened before. What's going to be the consumer request at that point? What are they going to need? And when we saw that, oh wow, they're actually buying more. In fact, the stimulus check was in fully spent on our flash sales, and it was a surreal moment. It was just we had to stop marketing. We had no more products to sell. We ran out of products. It was, and our competitors would call me and said, "Do you have any leftover products?" And I was about to call you and ask you that question. It
Yeah.
was fun. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, given that time period and everything that you accomplished, one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is this idea of work-life balance. I'd love to hear your thoughts on work-life balance. I mean, is this possible? How do you sort of manage that in your own day-to-day, especially in, times or peak times when you feel like there is no balance?
Well, if you expect, let's just say, an NBA player to have work-life balance, hey, listen, why are you here by 5 p.m.? Finish your workout. That's ridiculous, right? People
Mhm.
expect that from an entrepreneur. If you build a business, our company was 500 million in sales. Do you really expect a person to be a regular person to build a regular work-life balance? No, of course not. And
Mhm.
it's just a ride that you take with the person that does that. And it's not for everyone. It's definitely not better than any. Money is not what's going to make you happy. It's only going to make you comfortable. So I just happen to enjoy this. It's like a video game for me that I can play all day nonstop, and I
That's
can stop.
amazing.
Right, it's a video game. The money is only a way to keep score, and I feel like everyone else that get to that level, those high achievers are the same. People like to call them high achiever. I like just addicted for a different type of video game. That's what we are. It is fun. It's addictive, and you can stop it because once you're already in a role, you put yourself in an obligation to continue that. There's no one else that can do it. So you have quite a few employees at that point, and it does sit in the back of your head that if you don't solve that current problem that happened to be this week or this day or whatever the problem of the day, no one else can do it for you. And your responsibility is to make sure that they can get their paycheck and live their life. So it just, you already get yourself into a spiral that you can't get out. It's a more magic cycle, but it's fun. That is why when you exit that business, you start, you feel a relief at one point where you say, now I can actually, I didn't know that there was stress. I never thought it was stress. I always said there's no anxiety. That's why I wake up in the middle of the night. Just, it was stress. You just didn't know it's stress because the part that was excitement was overtaking your brain, and you think it's all exciting. But after you get out, like, wow, that is relaxing a little bit, until you get bored and you
Mhm.
build something new. That's the.
Well, like, given that you're an entrepreneur, I guess, how do you prep a partner, or how would you prep a partner now that you've been through, a marriage as you're building a company? What advice would you share with entrepreneurs who are dating people who might not even know what it's like to date an entrepreneur? Would you have a conversation about that?
Probably setting expectations. I mean, I didn't really do it. I'm not going to tell you I'm great at everything.
Sure.
That's, I can basically talk about that. And, I feel like people get to see the passion. If you offline, we can talk about what I do, right? And say we're
Mhm.
dating, go and talk to you about that. If you are a curious person and you think it's cool, I can talk about this nonstop. Of course, I'm going to have to ask you about your things, right? And then I
Yeah,
want to be
yeah.
intrigued as well. But I feel like the connections would work if people are passionate being with passionate people. It's going to be a passion, right? It's my new company that I'm building. It's mostly because of passion, and it's something that I like to sleep on. And being with a person that I sleep with, if I can go and brainstorm and feel like this is a person that give me those ideas, and that's how I was with my ex-wife. God bless her, she was giving me a lot of good ideas. She's, we would go and she's completely different than me. I'm more impulsive and so on, and she's much more thorough and she's composed and she would listen and she would think about it. Then she can come up a day or two later. I thought about this and let me tell you what I think. And it would always be something that I would never think about. So that is something that can really work. And that was great for both of us. It was intriguing. Everybody gets smarter by the end of the day because you see things you haven't done and you're not stepping in the same place you go forward. So if the person likes to have that kind of a partner, that's going to be a fun ride. If not, it's not going to
Sure.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost like, a lot of times, singles will say to me who are in, who are an entrepreneur, is that they struggle with finding someone that really understands the demands. They feel like they're always having to kind of explain themselves, or why they're working so much, or that type of thing. Where in your situation, like, an ideal situation would be somebody who obviously understands your goal, and could contribute potentially, because you're spending so much time on your business.
Yeah, and it's also going to be nice where the person wants to come with you and do things with you, right? Now, you can't expect someone to always like to do what you do and play with you the same video game that you're playing, right? It's not even fair to ask that. But overall, when you ask what works in relationship, I have kind of like an ideal image where I have some friends that are married for 20 some years and they haven't missed a dinner together. The husband is he's a radiologist and he sold one of his companies. And what they always do is they buy properties together and they renovate them and then they use them for about 10 years and sell it. They have a very strategic way how they do it and they always do things together. So he does his job. She's kind of like his secretary. When he has his construction things, they do things together. I went with them to Spain and they showed me one of the houses they build and they're going to rent when they're not there. And they were very excited about doing the construction, where for some other people construction is a headache, for some other people construction is nothing but horrible, right? For them it was
Right.
exciting. And what she said was, we've never missed a dinner for 23 years. They've been
Mm,
always together, they're always together.
wow.
So yeah, it's like you don't see
That
those,
might be difficult
but
for
that's what
that means they travel together. They must,
everything,
because
everything,
I
yes.
I can't say that I've consistently had dinner with my partner, or tried to, because he's not in an occupation where he can get up and go. This is when I was formally partnered like you. My relationship also had an impact in the pandemic, but as yourself, we co-parent together well. We have to, and we live 7 minutes apart. So it's great to hear other stories of other couples who are co-parenting well, because especially with younger children, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's sad when they're not and they have children. It's more sad than anything. Someone feel validated from the other person. They tell you the story in the back of my mind. I'm just thinking about how the kids are going to come out. So it's important to just
Mhm.
yeah to make it amicable. But I feel like when you have that type of relationship, it's kind of like a gold standard, right? It's someone that you can't stop you can't wait for them to come over. You want to spend with them every evening because that is fun. But right now, if it's not, I think it's also important to be okay being alone
Mm.
because otherwise you're going to get stuck with whatever relationship you have and you don't want to get out of it because being alone is worse. So enjoy being alone until you find something, and if not, being until you find whatever it is, you can stay by yourself.
Well, on that note, did it take a little bit of an adjustment for you? I don't know how long you were single before getting married, but was there an adjustment period from you experiencing that family life to, again, adjusting to being alone? Or are you somebody that has always been comfortable on your own?
Yeah, so my case was that the first thing, I didn't want to stay by myself at
Okay.
night because I felt I'm going to feel the guilt for not sleeping in the house. If that is not the day when I'm with my kids, I felt guilt. And
Right.
I was afraid I'm going to go back to the relationship because of the kids. It wasn't the with my ex. There was never a drama between us when I broke up with her, but the the thing was because it was COVID and everything was shut. I mean, literally, I leave the house and they said shut down everything, no more bars, no more restaurants. And I thought, you know what, I'm single now. I can go. I can dance salsa. I learn Spanish. I learn salsa. I can figure. But they shut down the whole world. And it was just a sort of, no, you gotta be kidding me. What am I gonna do now by myself? I don't. But then they started a lot of house parties, and I was always invited to a bunch of cool house parties and awesome people and stuff like that. So I was never alone, and I just didn't want to go and be able. So I guess I'm a guy. So for me, hooking up is not a big deal, and it was important so I don't go to sleep on myself and then just feel all sad with the kids. And because in the morning I'm going to go and see them. Every morning I ended up
Yeah.
going to see them at that time, but at night it was the problem. So that was my challenge. It felt more like don't be alone, so you don't go back, for that reason. So,
Well,
but
no,
eventually,
I appreciate the honesty because, you have to do what is comfortable for you so that you don't repeat those patterns that you're trying to, avoid. I love that you refer to your partner as a best friend and you co-parent well, but again, knowing yourself, you needed to do what you needed to do, right? In order for you to get past that. On that note, how do you build or where are you at now in your relationship journey? Are you still enjoying being single? Are you thinking about partnering with somebody? Like, what's your idea or ideal relationship right now in this point in your life?
it's a good question. Look, I feel like a lot of things got out of my system. I was, I didn't have to get a lot of it out of the way, but overall, I keep my mind open. If I meet someone and I feel like I want to keep seeing them, then I'm going to keep seeing them. And then I just have one rule. If I go into that phase that I see someone too much, I just shut everything else down because then I wouldn't give myself a chance to really feel the relationship. Otherwise, it's just one more person. Let me try this one too. It's just like a fattening buffet, and you don't want to be there because at that time you're just gonna get confused. It's healthier to go and focus on one person. But at the same time, I don't go and like I want to get into a relationship. Let's get like it's not the way I see it. I see it as like if that is person I want to keep spending time with, let's see what happens from there, and then it would be nice to find someone that you keep being with.
Yeah, I love that. On the topic of building connections, because you also talked about the importance of building community. What is your way? How do you know when you want to build a deeper connection with somebody, either on a friendship basis, romantic, or business?
I'm not sure yet. I mean, if look, if I can't wait to see you every time you come over, then it builds itself up, right?
Right.
If the conversation, like let's just say this, first of all, the look has to be there, right? I have to be attracted, otherwise it's not going to work. And if it will work, then someone's going to cheat. It's just reality, right? Then the second part is you gotta have chemistry. I don't know how to explain chemistry. I mean, I don't think anyone
Sure.
can, but it's a connection. And if you're just awesome and it's fun and you make me laugh and I can't wait, then after we go and we spend some time together, now I want to stay with you longer. I want to, and that's why I can't wait for you to come and you pick up. I have something funny to tell you that just happened, and that's how relationship gets built. And that's it.
Mm,
I think there's more to it because by the end of the day, we might overthink everything in our life. In
yeah.
this case, if you feel it, continue, and if it stops, then try to rebuild it, see what happened. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Now I know for men, it's easy to, and there's been historical data to state that men prioritize or are attracted by looks. It's not to say that women are not attracted by looks, right? But beyond the looks, when you're initially attracted, what would you say are the other, key, I guess, traits or things that have you wanting to keep seeing this person again?
Personality. So if you're a positive person, it's very attractive. I mean, I cannot be attracted to depression, drama. It's just not attractive. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just if you're positive, if there is a connection when you laugh from my silly jokes, which most people don't understand anyway. So, oh, listen, finally someone get my jokes. Thank God. A lot of people
Yeah.
did. So, okay, cool. It's like that's one of those things where, but imagine if you come and you bring me over to dinner with a bunch of friends and say I'm insecure now. And I'm sitting down and all I think about is what are they going to say about me? They don't like my beard. I don't know, something in my nose or whatever. And I'm gonna give them nasty look because I'm insecure from them. How is that? Are you gonna be enjoying this? Like it's gonna be horrible. Positive vibe, person that's fun. And then intellectually, if you connect together, then you're also having some humor together, and it's gonna be fun.
Do you find that, in your past when you've dated, that the connections that you've had with women on that note, the ones that, like, were they easy? Did they flow well? Or did you find that you were surprised and it built over time? What is it like for you?
Well, if you stay for long, something is going to get built over time, but there's going to be more. But it gets less and less because at first you get a lot of things about the person, then you pick up on more, but it gets like a longer gaps from the beginning to where it comes down later. And I feel like again, if you are really into me and I'm really into you, then I'm going to look at the little things. I'm going to remember them. You're going to feel appreciated that I remember those little things and vice versa. And then everybody's like the connection gets faster, right? It's one of those parts where you start building personal jokes together that it's something that you'll understand if I tell you that, right? But those are experiences that build up together. And then that's why it's fun to have relationship. That's why it's better than just casual here and there, and there's nothing deeper than that.
Right. Well, you've been in a partnered relationship. Do you feel that, provided you meet the right woman, right, or somebody who's complementary to you, do you feel that you're more productive inside of a supportive partnership than being single and free to do what you want?
No, I don't think so. I think it got nothing to do with that. I think again, I don't know. That's what I believe in. But I
Yeah.
feel like when it comes down to what I do, the support that people think they need to get, if they feel they need support in order to be an entrepreneur, then I don't think they should be an entrepreneur. I mean, it's like you should.
Mm.
I mean, imagine you go to LeBron James and be like, "Hey, LeBron, do you think you play better because your wife is good to you?" No, right? It's the training. It got nothing to do with that. But it's good when you have someone supportive next to you. Supportive meaning let me hear your idea, brainstorm with me, things like that I can bounce it a little bit. Versus someone that I'm never going to talk to her about business, but I'm going to see her less because I need to think about my business now and I want to sleep on it. It's important for me to sleep. Like for me, I have literally a religion that if I have anything in my way that interfere with sleeping on my business, then I have to move it aside. Not in terms of people as much as it is about hobbies or anything else, because sleeping on it, that's where I get my best ideas when I sleep on stuff. So if I have someone by my side that I can actually talk about the business right before I go to sleep, believe it or not, it helps. It helps me to do better. And
Yeah.
if the person doesn't care and they're just doing it as of an obligation, I don't want to torture them, right? So I'm not going to do it. But eventually, it's going to affect my business. So it's never going to work. It needs to be someone that I can, once I want to, once in a while, we're going to talk about that before I sleep. For me.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. That sounds like sexy pillow talk to me, to be honest. Um, so who are the people that you keep close to you, like, in terms of your support system? Because a lot of entrepreneurs can feel, particularly maybe a solopreneur, but a lot of entrepreneurs can feel a little, isolated. So can you describe or share who you like to keep around in your
There are
circle to help
different
support
colleagues
you?
for different things, right? You have different colleagues for different things. So if you have other friends that are very successful that have built stuff, it's important to have those people around you because, if everyone between ideas, connections, so on, where I need something, I'm first time doing this industry, someone that I know is already doing something, or just talking about stuff that other people can understand. It's just not everyone can comprehend what it takes to get a business to a certain size, and you do need to talk about that. The second part is in terms of work, the people that end up staying with me that were my closer circle at work, they don't have, some of them were employees that were working in customer service for 25,000 a year when they started, not how they ended up. It's because they're smart, they have a point of view that I respect, but above all, they're not yes people. If there is a mistake, they'll tell me right away, no, that's horrible. And they can argue with me. And I don't care if they raise their voice and scream as long as it's not on my personality, but it has substance on my execution, my product, whatever it is. Because by the end of the day, I rather they tell me that not to do something so I don't execute something. I don't want to know that you knew it's not going to work, but you are afraid to tell me. Because if you're afraid, then don't work for me. Come and tell me, because I would never buy.
Right.
That's really a close circle that I have around me, and I would always bring him on because I would always bring the ones. And I noticed that as time went by, I said, okay, if I'm going to ask her, I know she's just going to say, oh, it's an amazing idea. No, I don't want her. I'm going to call her, the other one. Now she's going to tell me right away, and she's going to tell me that with attitude. It's horrible. What the heck? Okay, beautiful. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah.
So that's
So
something that was
go
really
ahead.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's do you can you tell when someone's being a yes person to you? Like, is that can you
Yeah,
actually
of
see that?
course, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, between nonverbal communications, you can tell when they know it's not true, but I can look at them. I'm very intuitive, and I believe that everyone should be. If you want to be successful and you want to grow something big and you want to be just in general, you have to be intuitive. Actually, also in relationship, intuition is no different than your conscious. The only difference is you don't know why you got to the conclusion you got to. There is no processing behind this. You understand that something is off over here. That person looks like he's a scumbag. I don't know. He looks like he's going to scam me. I don't know why about this. After he leaves, you can think about it, and then you say, now I know why. That's what triggers that. Okay, and that is the defense. So I'm very. I want to believe that my intuition is right all the time because I don't want to suppress it with my conscious. I don't want to suppress it with my
Mm.
frontal neocortex. This is what we do as humans. So that made me do a lot of right things in my company, and part of them is being judge of character, where you intuitively can tell where someone is going to be a yes person or no. I can tell right now that you, and I can give you an example.
Yeah,
We're
please.
working on a lab uh, here in Palm Beach, and we were trying to get some product from some brands, and they're trying to show us quite a few items that they have. And I noticed that they showed a particular product, and they gave it to one of my team members, and she tried the product. It was some lip scrub or something like that, and she said, "Oh, that's very nice. I like it." I could tell that this is not something that she think is nice because of the way she said, the way she lifted everything. She was just nice to them. She was nice. She just doesn't want to say no, nothing. So I said, no, let Zari try this. Zari was another employee. Zari tried this, and Zari didn't listen, but she tried this, and I knew she's gonna be a straight shooter. As soon as she tried it, she's like, no, it's stuck in. There are pieces over here. She brutally murdered that product, and that
Yeah.
was my idea. So that's all it takes. I knew already who's the yes person and who's the no person, but that's important for everyone to be very, I would say, cautious because
Mm.
yes, people can be worse than useless.
Yeah, I mean, people talk a lot about the word authenticity and transparency, inside relationships and at work. What can you share about those 2 things, like authenticity and transparency? How can you determine who's being authentic and who isn't? You talked about energy. I know that was this a skill? There's some people that are innate and they have that like describe themselves as being empathic. They describe themselves as being intuitive. Did you feel that you had learned this skill? Was it always with you or did you develop it over time?
I guess there is a point. What you said, you might be wired different than others, and you might be better than others because you're wired. But I feel like anyone else, if I keep practicing, say basketball, I'll be better than what I was before. I might not be in the
Yeah.
NBA, but I might be better than before. Anything can be trained and skilled. But how do you do it when there are no courses? Let me teach you how to be the great. There's no math. It's not an exact science. But I'll give you one example that happened to me, where I asked myself, how the heck did I notice that? And it took me a while to figure it out. And actually, during the clubhouse days, that's when it hit me why I was able to be correct. So I had a different business before BoxyCharm, which was a liquidation business. And I had a client that came over. A client, meaning person I've never seen before. He walked in, and usually I was selling truckloads of excess inventory from department stores. That was my old business. He came in, and as soon as I looked at him, I knew he's a scumbag. I knew he's gonna. That's what he looked to me like. He was smiling. He came. He was nice. He was well spoken. Nothing bad. But I understood he's trying to scam me, which is impossible because I collect the payment up front. I don't take credit card, and there are no returns, and they sign on it. So how can you scam a person like me? It's impossible. So as soon as he came, I had that feeling that he's a scammer, and I have to be careful. So I went to him, and he said, "Hi, da da da." I told him, "I just want to be very clear before you buy anything. Everything is sold as," and I never told this to anybody, but with him, I had that feeling. So I told him, "Everything is sold as is. You pay before you pick it up, and there's no returns after." He said, "No, no, absolutely, I understand the business." So for a second, I felt bad for even saying that. And then he talked to me about his partner. His partner came a day or two later. I was surprised he actually had a partner. I didn't believe him.
Mhm.
I saw the partner. He showed me. I showed him the inventory. The partner actually looked like a serious guy to me. Then the day after, he came alone again without a partner. Right before he started talking, I told him, "Wait, before you say a word, let me ask you. Let me guess. You broke the partnership with a partner. Now, before you answer, I'll tell you now. If you're about to ask me for credit before when you buy something, even if God comes down from heaven and asks me to give a credit for my mother, I wouldn't do it. So let's not go there." So he
And
was
you
like, "How
knew.
did you know that?" And then he was trying to convince me and all that stuff. Anyway, I never gave him any credit. He ended up showing me his store. He told me, "Come visit my store." I did visit his store. He had a big store, not gonna lie, very impressive, but everything he had was on consignment. Some of the merchandise was from other liquidation companies. I knew the owners. I called them. I said, "Did you give him a consignment?" They said, "Yeah, you know, he convinced me." I said, "Okay." Older gentlemen
Mhm.
than myself. 6 months later, he calls me. He said, "I'm shutting down the business. I'm liquidating all the stuff I have in my store. Do you want to come and buy this?" Told him, "I thought it was all consignment. Aren't you supposed to return this?" He's like, "Listen, if you want, come and buy. If you don't, don't." Told him, "I don't do business like this. I don't buy stolen stuff." And that's now the question for me was, how the heck did I know this thing? And
Yeah, how
I
do
never
you
really
think you
thought
knew
about
that?
this at the moment. I kept on running this business. I ended up selling this business, building BoxyCharm, blah, blah, blah. Selling BoxyCharm. Sold BoxyCharm. COVID happens. You can't leave. You stuck at home. You're in Clubhouse. And I'm thinking, I remember that guy. How the hell did I know that? And then I started, and then it hit me. As soon as he walked in, he had a smile. That smile was not a smile of a person waiting to talk to me and saying hello. That smile was a salesman's smile. The problem is he
Mm.
was not a salesperson, he was a buyer. A buyer has a different look. A seller has a different look. If you go and you look at a person and he looks like he's trying to sell you something, it's because he's trying to take something for free to rip you off. That's the only thing he needs to sell for me. He needs to sell me a
Mhm.
story to get credit. And I knew that in my conscious, I didn't process that. It was subconscious, it was intuitive. It took me a minute to understand it was his fucking smile. That's why you're allowed to judge people for yourself. Don't go and post that, "Oh, the guy is," because they're going to cancel you. But in reality, you better do that because by the end of the day, there is a reason why nonverbal communications have meaning. People
Yeah.
have those affections. All that comes for a reason to protect you, and if you're not using it, you're losing it. You have to use it, otherwise, it's not going to keep coming to you.
The thing that's coming to my mind, in your family dynamic, are you an only child or do you have siblings?
Only child.
Only child, okay. Were you surrounded by a lot of adults growing up, or did you have a lot of kids to play with?
I mean, normal environment. I mean,
Normal? Okay.
nothing. Yeah.
I just because the intuitive nature, again, it's developed, but also because pegged him, or you noticed, like, you're very intuitive on the body language, and 55% they say of communication is nonverbal, right? So
I
if you
agree.
kind of felt that sneakiness for whatever reason, and because that, what, I forget who said it, but there's this meme floating around that says people will always remember how you make them feel, right?
Mhm.
And that entire um interaction or experience that had you, question your gut, that's what, had you come up with that. But why do you think, Joseph, I'm just curious, a lot of people don't trust their instinct and they don't trust their gut, and yet they still do business or get in relationships with people that they feel uncomfortable with?
Look, I feel like everyone does have that, right? A lot of our decisions, most of our decisions are emotional, but are mostly excused by rational explanation. The question is, do you understand what was the decision? And many times we try to suppress them. We try to suppress them
Mhm.
for all the wrong reasons, for the most part, not all the time, but most part. Where if I go and I ask you, here is a picture. What do you think of? What does it tells you? And you're gonna just take your time and think. I'm like, don't overthink. Just think about this, and you're gonna throw something out there. Okay. If
Mhm.
I go back to it and I say, okay, that was
Mhm.
intuition.
Mhm.
If I ask you to overthink, when do you need to overthink it? It's not bad to go and use your conscious, right? If I can analyze, if you run a company and everything you do can be very much intuitive, it basically
Mhm.
your gut feeling, your heart. You feel that that's what you need to do. You don't need to over process the why. You need to go and do it, and you say, let me just do it, and that's it. Let me try this. If you don't do that, your alternative is modeling everything else, trying to put zeros and ones behind everything, and at some point you'll understand that it's pointless because most of the things you're going to try to understand do not have enough data to process to get a conclusion. So that's why you much better be intuitive. And it's okay to fail as long as you fail fast. Sometimes analysis paralysis would shut down your business. And I've seen this already. I've sold more than one company, and I've seen how one company was bought and everything they did had to be modeled. Everything, even though the modeling, and I was arguing, like, your model would not give you any results because would not give you results that would make any sense because there is no data to collect in order to create a reliable model. That
Mhm.
event have never happened. No one have done this before. So you don't have any case to go back against. So in many cases, you have to just be comfortable doing, making decisions from your gut. When you can, and then you should use modeling.
Mhm. Would you, like, I'm appear you appear to me as somebody who is confident in himself. You appear to me as somebody, because again, appearances could be different, and I love that you said previous, ask me anything. So I know that to a degree you're an open book. Certainly, I'm not going to ask you anything that would be intrusive or inappropriate. But did that did that come from childhood? Were you always this confident? Was there did you have a mentor? How is it that you are who you are today? What do you think contributed to the level of confidence that you have right now?
Look, I never had mentors. I did have friends. I had sometimes I would hire a consultant for specific things. But if you think you're always confident, that's wrong, right? I mean, too much confidence is horrible.
Yeah.
What was it? Ignorance is when someone when you wanna. What was it? If I'm trying to teach you something that you think you know and you don't want to hear it because you think you already know it, that's ignorance. So
Okay.
overall, while I was building my first business, I had moments of doubts, but eventually it was okay, right? And that business
Mhm.
was good. It was 8 digits numbers. The second company, Boxycharm, was in the 9 digits, but at the same time, during the time I grew that business, I started hiring other people. And at one point, I asked myself, am I just lucky to even get to that point? I'm just like, I'm looking at other people that English is their native tongue and they speak like bankers and all that. 100 terms I don't understand. At first, it sounded too much, and then you understand it's nothing complicated. Just you got to learn those 4 terms. And that's it. But you do have those doubts in yourself, and it's completely normal. And yes, it comes from a guy that I am a confident guy. You're right. I am a confident guy. I'm not the shy guy. you look really pretty. If I was to see you at the time, I would go and approach you and I'll talk to you. I wouldn't worry about you saying no. If you say no, no big deal. So yes, but even guys like us needs to have some humility, because yes, you are building something big that you didn't do before, and you better go and ask yourself those questions. Are you good enough? Because yes, sometimes you're not going to be good enough, and in order for you to be good enough, you have to change to be the person that's going to be good enough. Maybe right now you're not, but you will be.
Mhm.
Or you can be, right? With some more focus into what you do and so on. So it's something that happens to everybody. But I didn't have mentors. My time, the whole Tony Robbins and all that. Let me sell you a mastermind. That wasn't a thing. It's it's a great thing now. And I just
That's
it
that's
was working.
great. Do you come from a background of entrepreneurship where were your parents in, an entrepreneurial role
I
at
guess you
all?
can call that. I mean, my mother was a living au pair, so and she was working for herself as a living au pair. It's obviously not. Prior to that, she was a hairdresser. My dad wasn't really in my life, so listen. I don't think, if you ask me, does it come if does it really come from the people around you or not? I feel like it can amplify you, but you still need to have it. You need to be wired in a certain way.
So you've been you would describe yourself as an eternally driven. Like, you don't need somebody to get to
Yeah.
motivate you. You already have this inside of you.
No, I feel like the motivation is not. It was never the problem. I feel like the part that does need to be amplified is not the motivation. Is the part that you need to kill all the things you idolize. Don't idolize things in your life. So
Mm,
if I go and I tell you, hey, look at Elon Musk. Let's compete with him on Tesla, right? And you can say, okay, let's do it. But in reality, you're not going to be motivated because subconsciously your brain will tell you it's kind of stupid. You're not going to compete with a Tesla. It's like one in couple generations, a guy like him can make it. So
mhm,
you're gonna, because you idolize the person. But if I go and I say, well, let's compete with John. John does exactly what we do. He just does double than what we do, and we talk to him every day. You humanize him. You're not
right,
idolizing Donald Trump, right? Or I'm sorry, Elon Musk. So you're
right,
gonna say, okay, now that I can do. So now you're gonna have the motivation. So you get
right.
motivation to what you believe you can achieve. Now,
Got it.
if you talk me and you tell, hey, you're gonna make 500 million, I would tell you, yeah, I believe that. But you would tell me, but I would tell you maybe, only if, and now I need you to do all this line of things, but you haven't done anything yet. Probably I'm not gonna do it if I already have something that works for me. But once you get to 50, coming to 100 is a lot more achievable. Once you get to 100 and you know that your competitor is already doing 500 and you're doing better than your competitor, then your 500 from 100 doesn't look unachievable, right? Now you get a
Right.
motivation. So you have to build it up, and you have to get to those steps. You can't, if you're pulling Joseph 2014 and putting me in a position to run a company like this, probably I wouldn't be the same person. I needed that evolution.
Right. That's interesting that, that you have not had a mentor, but yet you've hired some coaches. Have you, had
By
the
the way, I did
opportunity?
not hire coaches. What I did hire,
Okay,
and I want to be clear about mentoring and coaches and so on.
sure.
So I did hire when I started the company. I knew nothing about the business. So people who worked for competition for competitive one person that worked for a competition, I hired them. And we worked for like 3 months. I said thank you. Now I understand what you guys did. Thank you. Took it from there. I needed to connect with makeup brands. I didn't know anybody. I was just a dude with a beard coming from Miami, trying to convince them to work with me. I didn't know who's important, what, nothing. So I hired as an advisor for a few months the previous CEO of Laura Mercier. And she was a
Okay.
great friend, and we still are very good friends. So she basically made me introductions to brands. It was warm introductions. So that's what I was using. It was very tactical. I didn't need a motivational person above me that tells you
Fair.
ching ching going all that nonsense was for me. Now I didn't need any of that. I needed connection. I knew exactly what I'm looking for. Can you connect me with the CEO of this company or that company? Okay, you guys are friends. Can we grab dinner together? That's what I'm paying you for. So that
Got
was
it.
my
Have you been approached or had the opportunity to play a mentor to someone else? Have you been asked to mentor or been in a
Many
position where you've
times,
done
many
that?
times. Yeah, many
Okay.
times. I will say that in the beginning, at first I was doing dinner, no, not dinners, like breakfast or getting on some phone calls, but eventually it became overwhelming. It was just a lot of input and it became already a norm, which I'm glad it is. But, a person can only do so much. And by the end of the day, I need my personal time. So I ended up stopping it. I can go and give an advice here and there, but by the end of the day, there's a volume that you want to take, and then I just cut it off. I keep it closer to people that I know or family members, and that's where I keep my energy for.
That's great. I one thing that I wanted to ask you about was this concept of the high value man, right? And also the concept of a high value woman. Some people look at that as derogatory or what makes this person better than another. But how would you define or describe a high value man? There's no right or wrong. I would just love to hear your
I have no
opinion on
idea. I
that.
mean, what is? Can you tell me what do they say about a high value man or a woman?
I think the high value man, the it's individual person. So someone might say, well, a high value man is confident. He is a business owner or a C-level entrepreneur. He makes $1 million a year. He's Ivy League educated. Like there's these parameters. The thing about a high value man is that it is subjective. It's subjective to the person that like my high value man is going to be different than this person's high value man or somebody else. But there's that idea that people place importance on certain traits in a partner. And if they don't have those traits, they would not consider them a high value man. Maybe someone would think, okay, well, if he doesn't have his own home, he's not a high value man. If he's not in a C-level position, he's not a high value man. That's the terminology. You've not heard of
So I,
that
I
before?
guess I guess the question is actually for women to talk about high value men, because a man would care more about a high value woman in that case, right? Which I don't think
Okay,
men
well,
would ever care about that. But
given those parameters, what would you consider to be a high value female or a woman that would be of interest to you? You talked about attraction. Are there
yeah.
specific traits that you could
So
say?
for me, attraction, and then from there, connection, chemistry.
Attraction and connection. Okay.
Attraction and connection. I don't like, because I honestly don't care if a woman works as a bedside nurse or if she's a successful CEO or so on. Believe it or not, I really don't care about that. It means nothing to me if by the end of the day you come and let's just say they're both twin sisters. I don't know, it looks exactly the same. Let's just take
Okay.
that out of the equation. Okay, if one of them doesn't click or we don't click, then that doesn't matter. Or values, right? If one person tells me, listen, I'm vegan, I heard you ate meat and I hate you, or whatever it is, angry vegan or something like that. Like at that point, I don't care if you have $100 million business.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. It's just, so some of those things for men, I guess this is more of a question for women, but what I can say as a man for women
Yes.
is looking for a high value man, and I understand what you're looking for. Okay, you're probably looking for a person you're attracted, but also someone that is successful. Because let's not lie to ourselves. Success makes a man look sexy, I guess, or something like that. Right? That's
Yeah.
what it's to a point. All right, not all the time, but yeah, unless you're not messing it up with everything else.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what do you ask? You ask, okay, how do I know that the man is a good person to invest my time with? Here's what I would say. I feel like if you go and you ask yourself, let's just say you're young. I'm not talking my age. I'm 46. Okay, let's just say you're young. You're in your 20s. You said, I want that lifestyle. I want that person that can be successful, but I still want to have a good friend. I want to be attracted to the person. I want him to be good to me and all that stuff. So first, assuming you have two types of people. You have doers and you have talkers. If you meet a guy in your age that is in his 20s and he tells you about their ideas and they tell you, listen, I got this awesome business idea I've been thinking about. Okay, how long have you thought about this? For 4 months already. Okay, great. I love the idea. What did you do? No, nothing. I'm waiting for my friend Jamal. When he comes, we're going to do it together. Okay, when is he coming? I don't know. Did you talk to him about this? Not yet. Okay, you talk to him a month later. Nothing. Another month, nothing. What do you do tonight? I'm going for a game. Aren't you going to go and try to work? Did you open an LLC formation? Did you secure the domains, the handles? Something. Nothing. Okay. versus a doer that's gonna have already things in plan. You don't ask him to be a millionaire yet because he's still in his 20s, but he's at least a doer. Now you divided the 10% from the 90%. From there on, it's a lot of luck because it's hard to distinguish the person that's gonna be a high net worth individual so early on, but at
Mhm.
the bare minimum, you're already cutting it to the 10%, and you can go from there on. And that is one thing. And then if everything else works for you, and if he's good to you, if he treats you well, if he's a gentleman, right? If he chew with his mouth open or so on, all those parts that are important for you, go and look at them over there and see what you can maybe help him. Tell him, hey, close your mouth when you eat, something like that. But some things you can't. Sometimes you're not supposed to teach. Like if he has it, then don't. So then that part is ask yourself if he is the doer, now you know how. How long is
Mhm.
he talking about this? Because everyone has ideas. There is not one person with a working brain that doesn't have ideas. 100% of the population on earth has ideas, but very few would execute on those ideas. So make sure he's an executionary person, that he does it. And now that's where you go from there. That's how you can bet on the right stock, on the right product, on the right company, or on the right person.
Yeah, so some people that I love that. I love that advice. And, when you walk into a room or a networking event, are you often do you go to networking events?
Once a
How are
while,
you building
I
connections?
haven't done those for a while.
Okay.
I was invited before. I spoke actually on Epic Talk before.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's once a while I go.
Once in a while. How would you what are some like in the place women that you've dated in the past? I know you've said that it's through parties that you've met some people. Are there other organic ways that you meet women that you might be attracted to or compatible with? I think a lot of our viewers would want to know like where could they meet someone like you? If you're sitting in your house, like how are they going to meet you?
I mean, on my Instagram, I feel like it's a dating site by its own. I recently got on one of the dating app, but just a few days ago. So yeah, but
Oh,
Instagram
you must be blowing up there. How's it going?
is good.
Internet.
It's okay.
Yeah, I would think it's good. So yeah, so the first for you is looks, and then you
No,
wanna
it's not
make a
one
connection.
better than the other, but I mean, before I get to know you, I get to see you first, right? So
Yes.
if I'm sorry, if I don't like what I see, not gonna lie to you, you can call me superficial, then I am. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if I'm not attracted to you and I'm with you, then it's not gonna work, right? So it's if before I talk to you, that's what I get to see. Then I talk to you, and then that's what I get to hear, and that's the.
Can you maybe comment now that you've, like, tried an app, like, what you feel is maybe one of the biggest mistakes that women are making with their profile just from your, new experience?
I mean, I just joined, so it's hard to tell. And not gonna lie to you, I wasn't really. I mean, I guess some of them write a lot in their profile, and I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, maybe it's just me. I feel like I'll read the location, make sure you don't live in Zimbabwe or something close to me. I don't want to do long distance if I don't have to,
Yeah.
and here and there. But that's it. Like I don't read too much into the details because by the end of the day, we'll chit chat and we'll communicate and we'll see from there. But that's just me. It's not a bad thing. You can write a lot. It doesn't matter for me.
Yeah. Well, I think what's important though is that they're presentable. To
Yeah.
attract like if someone wants to attract a partner like yourself, knowing that you're saying, "Hey, look, your presentation matters, how you look." You can't
The
yeah,
image is
image.
everything. Yeah. If you have
Yeah.
no look, honestly, when I met my wife, I met her on eHarmony. It was a dating
Mhm.
site. Then I don't know if they're still in
Amazing.
business, and it was all about connection. And I was 29, and I was stressed that I'm not married yet. I was all concerned. So I met her on eHarmony. But my thing on eHarmony, I had no idea that it's an hour long questionnaire because it was really trying to find out about your personality. So I was in the
Yeah.
middle of work, busy, and I just noticed that the questions never end. So I ended up just putting B, 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 whatever. It was all multiple choice, B type personality. And then I guess there was a part where they ask you to upload your image, and I just skipped it because it allows you to skip it. And I was too busy. I was getting phone calls, working. So for the first 3 months, no one wanted to talk to me. Not one single woman
And you
wanted to
had
talk.
you had no
I
you
had
had
no
no
image.
clue why. You had no clue
I
why
had no
probably.
picture, and as soon as I put the picture, then they started talking to me. So my point behind this is everyone are visuals. They all want to see a picture. So
Okay.
put a good picture, and don't
Yeah.
have a picture with 5 friends from far away, and you think that's gonna cut it because they're gonna swipe out to someone that can actually see how you look like. Put a picture,
Yeah,
and if someone likes what you look, they're going to contact you.
I love that. Well, listen, I would steal you for a whole day, but we're coming to the end of our conversation. What tips can you give to single entrepreneurs for them to apply to potentially attract a right partner? I whether it is I would just love to
I
hear your
rather
thoughts
give
on
them
that.
I rather give them a tip to stay away from the wrong women in their life, the ones that would drag you into spending everything that you shouldn't spend early on. Women that build with you things. Like again, I'll bring it back to my ex-wife. When I met her, I was living in a one-bedroom apartment, and I had one pillow, three forks. I was really living modest, and I had some money, but it was all going back to the business. And I remember that every time I bought something, it was really for her, not for me.
So
Rolex would be for her. I
sweet.
didn't care about those stuff for myself. And so I remember when I bought her the Rolex the first time, for me and for her, it both came from nothing. She was happy, but then she said, "How much did we pay for it?" And I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
It's our shit. It's our stuff together. It's like, how much did we pay for it? It's like, yeah. It's like, now I'm buying it for her because I wanted her to have something that I always wanted to have. Even though I could afford at that point to buy myself whatever watch I want, I was already doing very good. I just saw it as a piece of metal, and for me, it means nothing. But I knew she's gonna like it. But the point is, you need to find a woman that's gonna be helping you to grow. Don't compromise on pretty girls just because they are very pretty and they're easy to come in just because you buy them all those stuff. I mean, people spend
Mhm.
more money than they should early on, and they block their future because of that. They waste a lot of time and money on everything they shouldn't waste just so they can. I was living on rice and ketchup until I got married. I would on for myself, rice and ketchup, no problem. So, and then that allowed
Wow.
me to come to a point that I can spend whatever I want later. But early on, don't. This is the more important part. This is so important for you. So don't waste what you shouldn't waste. No one is worth it.
But I think that's because, like, do you feel that, because you had come from humble beginnings, like, you went through a phase where you weren't always confident. I think some entrepreneurs go through what they call the imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until you're like in that situation. But with a lot of women or attractive women, these are just what I'm being reported by the men that have hired me that I'm working with is that they almost have these expectations that, well, because you've got money, you should, pay for this or that. Like I
No, no,
feel
no.
like
Be a gentleman and absolutely, you're the
yes.
one that pays. I'm an old school, 100%. My point behind this is that if you live if your company is small and you're starting off and
Yes.
someone is dragging all that cash out of it for expensive bags, expensive this, when you cannot afford this, that's not the person you
Mhm.
should. That's my
Right.
point. Listen, the bottom line is a man needs to be a man. If you're a woman and you go out with a man and he asks you to split a bill, I would say thank you very much and get out. And that's my opinion, right? But at the same time, if you're asking me about gold diggers, they're trying to suck it up versus a woman that says, hey, listen, let's build stuff together, okay? We'll go restaurant, whatever it is, but don't overspend stuff you shouldn't just to impress me.
Right.
If that's this is the woman you need to be, and there are a lot of those, and they're very pretty of those, and but that's their head needs to be in the right place. They're truly looking for connection, for relationship. If the woman is looking for other stuff, the connection is not what they care about. They in their mind they think about everything else.
Mhm. I'm curious to know if when you're dating someone or introduces somebody, if in the back of your mind there's any concern about someone dating you because you've already achieved a certain level of success. Does that come into play whatsoever? I'm curious.
Yeah, like I guess the that question definitely comes right. I believe that men that because if you go to Miami, it's common. Like guys would spend the money to attract the girls, and that's normal. So at one point, like it's not a big deal. It's okay if if I go out, I'm definitely taking you to a nice place, the nicest place.
Sure.
Everything you want, whatever it is. But there are some that would go and ask for I don't know, straight out. I want you to buy me a bag or something. Never to me, right? But it happened to friends of mine. Like, can you buy me this bag? Can you take me over there? Let's fly somewhere, but let me go and arrange all that stuff. So yeah, overall, like I feel like if I talk to you and I see that I tell you a story and you just don't really care, but you act like you care because by the end of the day you care about the bag, then that connection is not real.
Right,
That's what it is. Now it's I like spoiling, I like doing those, but it needs to be someone that I want to, so someone that I want to be with, right?
right.
And that's different. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I guess
I
I didn't attract a lot of gold digger. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't have like bad experience. I didn't see
mhm.
ungenuine people. Like, I, it wasn't really happening to me. So, I don't know.
That's amazing. Well, where can people find you, Yosef? And I know you have
Instagram.
something coming up, but we'll talk about that in another podcast. So I'm
Sure.
really excited about your
If people
project.
want to meet me, they can come over. I mean, I live right now. So no, Instagram YFL Martin. That's all.
Right. My 7-year-old is in the background right now. That's what it's like being a mompreneur as
It's
well.
all good. I
So
just dropped off my son also at my ex's place.
oh my goodness. Oh, and I just gotta say, I think you're looking fire. I mean,
You,
you
me,
no,
me,
I mean,
you.
like, what has is this a new thing, or have you always been committed to your health? Like, what is it that at and I love the fact that at 46 you look better than some 26-year-olds. I mean,
I
and
was.
I'm I'm close to your age as well. So I think health is wealth, right? We didn't talk about that. Just on that note, why is health so important to you? And when did you start to take a real look at that, or have you always lived a healthy lifestyle?
I mean, I was always kind of okay, but I definitely transformed in the last year. I got into some age biohacking on my own. And there's probably something after you sell a business and you said, you know what, money is one thing, but health is another thing. Each one of them has a currency of its own. And I do not want to go and find myself, I don't want to find myself willing to give everything I have just to be like I was before. So why not working out? Why not doing this? Eventually, it's the age will hit you, but for now, let's go. Let's work out. So I was always in shape. I was always good. I mean, from time when I was a kid, I was always doing MMA, then military, then this and that. But you can do better. And
Yeah.
yeah, biohacking really blew my mind when I started using certain peptides
Yep.
that would change everything in your life. If I tell you that there are some peptides that as soon as you take it, you're like, this is unfucking real. No, no, I can't believe that. And one of them will, if you have some chronic pain in a certain place, you inject BPC 157 to the place and that's it. Boom, gone. It's just unreal. Like years of pain on my left arm. If you look at my bicep in my left arm is less developed because I had this injury for years. I inject BPC 157. So I started getting into peptides.
I know it very well. One of my clients and good friends is a biohacker. He runs Peak Human Labs and he sells BPC
BPC.
147. Yeah, and a lot of things for your brain and your body. So and he swears by it. He takes about 20 vitamins a day, all to elevate
I will show
his
you my
health.
vitamins section over here. Look, I don't know if
Yeah.
you can see it. Can you see the vitamins?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that's what keeps you
I
in
mean,
your top physical shape.
I mean, I work out. I work out a lot. I work out. The idea is to get challenged. I do boxing. I work
I
out.
just Hey guys, this is him right here. Oh my god, look at that. So 45 versus 46. The main change is health, not the physics. So your body composition. Have you done the whole body composition and all of that like through there's a lot of machines that can tell you what your
I didn't do
body's
machine. I
doing.
didn't go to that level. But what I did do is I do blood tests all the time. I did. Well, you do it once. The swab for the Geno. I messed it up. I put this before it was better.
That's okay.
But yeah. So anyway, I do that and then just honestly working out in the morning before I do the second workout I do in the afternoon, but the first one, quick one in the morning, boost your metabolism, and it really set up everything good. And like it helps you a lot.
Well, we like it. You can keep posting. I think it's great for motivation. And there's a lot of people that, have built this great life. And then it's crazy that they don't focus on their health because wouldn't you want to be around long enough to enjoy,
Exactly.
the fruits
Yeah.
of your labor?
The
So,
idea the idea is that you want to be wanted not because of what you build, that's old. You want to
Mhm.
be wanted because of your look first, and then, oh, you also did that. That's exciting. Like, you don't want to be the rich man that the wife end up with the gardener. You want to be like the gardener, right? So that's the I guess that's an analogy you can give.
Well, you qualify to be a pool boy, my dear, so you're an
Yeah,
upgrade
I'm
from the
clean the pool
gardener.
in a minute.
Listen, it's a blast. I can't wait to see you in person, in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, where you are. Thank you so much for your time. And guys, this has been a real treat. Make sure you follow Yosef. He's up to a lot of amazing things. Congrats on all of your success. And I'm sure we'll have more conversations.
I love to do it again, and thank you for having me.